Someone invites you out, a party, a dinner, a weekend trip, and instead of excitement, you feel resistance. Not because you don't like the people, not because you're antisocial, but because the thought of leaving your space, of being around people, of being on when you'd rather be off, it exhausts you before it even happens. So you decline, again. And people don't understand. They think you're lazy, they think you're wasting your life, they think you're afraid of living. But you're not. You're just someone who finds more peace, more clarity, more of yourself at home than you ever do out there. And the guilt creeps in, the voice that says normal people love going out, that something must be wrong with you for preferring your couch to a crowded bar. But here's what you need to know. You're not lazy, you're not missing out, and you're definitely not alone. There's real psychology behind why some people love staying at home, and understanding it might finally help you stop apologizing for living in a way that actually makes you feel alive. So let's talk about what's really happening when home feels better than anywhere else, because this isn't about avoiding life or being antisocial. It's about how your nervous system finds safety, how your brain processes stimulation, and why some people recharge in solitude, while others need the world to feel whole. First, let's understand what home actually represents to your brain. It's not just a physical space, it's your baseline, your control center, the one place where you don't have to manage how you're perceived, where you don't have to perform, where you don't have to be anything other than exactly what you are in that moment. And if you're someone who spends most of your external life managing, adjusting, performing versions of yourself for different contexts, home is where all of that stops.
It's where the mask comes off, where the act ends, where you finally get to just exist without an audience. And that relief, that permission to be unfiltered, it's not something you find in social settings. It's something you only find alone. Here's what makes it deeper. People who love staying at home are often highly sensitive to stimulation. And I don't mean sensitive in the fragile sense. I mean sensitive in the processing sense. Your nervous system picks up on more than most people's do. The noise, the energy, the conversations, the lights, the movement. When you're out in the world, you're absorbing all of it. And that absorption, that constant intake of sensory and social information, it drains you in ways that people who aren't wired this way don't understand. For them, stimulation is energizing. For you, it's depleting. So staying home isn't avoidance, it's regulation. It's you protecting your nervous system from overload. Now let's talk about control. When you're at home, you control everything. The noise level, the lighting, who's there, what you're doing, how long you stay. And if you're someone who needs predictability to feel safe, who needs autonomy to feel calm, being out in the world means giving up that control. You're at the mercy of other people's plans, other people's energy, other people's timelines, and that loss of control, even in fun situations, creates low-level stress that accumulates.
So by the time you get home, you're not just physically tired, you're mentally and emotionally depleted from managing an environment you couldn't control. And home, where you have full control, is the only place that stress can finally release. Here's another layer. Staying home isn't about doing nothing, it's about doing things that matter to you without external pressure. When you're home, you're free to engage with what actually interests you. Reading, creating, thinking, learning, resting, activities that require internal focus rather than external performance. And if you're someone whose mind works best in solitude, whose creativity thrives in quiet, whose thoughts need space to unfold, being home isn't wasting time, it's using time in ways that align with how you're actually built. The world sees productivity as external action, but internal work, the kind that happens when you're alone with your thoughts, that's just as valuable. It's just invisible. And invisible work doesn't get celebrated the way social activity does. But here's what people don't understand. Loving to stay home doesn't mean you don't like people. It means you like them in small doses, in meaningful contexts, in ways that don't require you to split your attention between being present and managing your energy. You're not antisocial, you're selectively social. And there's a difference. Antisocial means avoiding connection. Selective means being intentional about the kind of connection you pursue. You'd rather have one deep conversation at home than 10 surface-level interactions at a party. And that preference, while it limits your social circle, also means the connections you do have tend to matter more. Let's talk about childhood for a moment, because often people who love staying home had early experiences where the outside world felt unpredictable or unsafe. Maybe home was the only place you felt calm, the only place you had control, the only place where you didn't have to monitor your surroundings for threats. And when that's your foundation, when home equals safety and the world equals stress, that pattern stays with you, even as an adult, even when the threats aren't real anymore. Your nervous system still associates home with relief and the outside world with activation. And that's not a choice you're making consciously. It's a pattern your body learned to survive, and now it's just how you're wired. Here's what's crucial to recognize. Society has a bias toward extroversion, toward being busy, toward constant social engagement. And if you don't fit that mold, if you're someone who thrives in solitude, you're made to feel like something's wrong with you, like you're not living fully, like you're wasting your potential by not being everywhere, doing everything, seeing everyone. But that's a cultural narrative, not a truth. Living fully doesn't require constant external activity.